Joining me now is one of the senators that went to that briefing today, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, a member of the Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I want to get a little bit of clarity from you. Did you hear that Rod Rosenstein knew that the president was going to fire James Comey before he wrote his recommendation?
Clear as day. There's no question about it. It was in his opening statement. He laid out the narrative that ultimately led to the decision to fire Comey. Now, there are lots of holes in that narrative, but in his own opening statement, he told us very clearly that he found out that the president was planning on firing Trump, and then he wrote the memo, which was used as the justification for it. Now, the dates on the memo already hinted that that's how the timeline worked, but he confirmed that for us this morning, and it means that the letter that Donald Trump delivered to James Comey, which says he relied on the recommendation of the Deputy Attorney General, just isn't true.
And did he indicate that he really also wanted Comey to go, that this was something that he believed in as well?
He did. Now, he was totally unable to discuss his conversation with the president. He didn't want to talk about the circumstances surrounding his memo. He didn't want to talk about whether there were edits made to his memo. But he did stand by what eventually ended up in it. He believed that the conduct of James Comey surrounding the Clinton investigation merited his dismissal, but he would not confirm that that was the reason that led the president to make that decision. In fact, he hinted, at the very least, that was not ultimately the reason. We all know, of course, now that it wasn't. Did
he say why he decided to appoint a special counsel to bring in Bob Mueller?
Again, he was very reluctant to go into details, but I think he said that it was a combination of the unique nature of this investigation, and he wouldn't go into any more detail about what that meant, and the fact that the public faith had really eroded in the ability of the FBI, and he wanted to restore that faith. And I take him at face value. I mean, I'm glad he appointed not only a special counsel, but somebody that both parties can have faith in. And he further made several assurances, Katie, during that meeting, that he would let Mueller bring this investigation wherever it led, that he wasn't going to have to come back and check with Rosenstein to make sure that the investigation was as expansive as it needed to be.
And are you confident right now in the Deputy AG, in the AG?
I would have liked him to answer some more questions today, but I took his carefulness around giving us details as an indication as to how expansive he thinks this criminal investigation is going to be. He would not talk about the circumstances that led to his memo being released to the public, which suggests he thinks that there's a potential that even his memo is subject of an obstruction of justice case that the new special counsel may be pursuing. But he took pains to tell us that there was going to be no political check on the scope or size of this investigation. And, I'm trying to take him at his word.
Senator, what else did you want to hear from him?
Well, I mean, I guess I was a little shocked at how little he was able to tell us about the exact nature of the conversations and the construction of the memo that led to Comey's firing. And the reason for that seemed pretty clear, that there is a potential obstruction of justice case surrounding the way in which Comey was fired, and so he felt that he couldn't share any of those details with us. So what he basically said is, I stand by the memo, but I can't talk to you about almost anything else surrounding the decision to fire Comey, because that is potentially within the scope of the special counsel. That was a little stunning to many of us.
Did he say he thought it could be a criminal investigation, or that it in fact was a criminal investigation?
No, I think he said that this all could be within the criminal investigation, and I think his main message was that he wanted to allow for Mueller to be able to decide the scope of that investigation before he gave us any information that might end up being inside that scope. So no, I don't think he was telegraphing that there was definitely a criminal case to be made on the construction of his memo or the firing of Comey, but he certainly didn't rule it out.
So my question is, how does this affect the Senate investigation? Lindsey Graham, a few minutes ago after that meeting, said a criminal investigation would limit the authority that Congress has to call certain witnesses, because the special counsel could put the kibosh on that. Are you concerned that this is going to jam up your investigation?
Well, I think that was always the potential, because if there's a criminal case that is moving forward, whether it was under the FBI or a special counsel, that would limit the information that can go to the Senate and the House committee. So there was always going to be some constraints on what our process was able to look at, and that's in part why we wanted this special counsel. In the end, our job is different. I mean, we are not trying to come up with criminal charges. We're on a fact-finding mission, in part to understand whether the Senate and the House need to take action against people in the executive branch, and we'll be informed by their investigation. We're not going to be coming up with our own criminal recommendations, I don't think.
Senator, what if Congress doesn't agree with the recommendations or the findings that Robert Mueller gets?
Well, again, that's why we're going to be doing an independent review of the information that they glean. I think once they have gotten to the logical end of a potential criminal case, then they can forward that information to us, and they can do so along the way as well. I think the Intelligence Committee is also going to be getting information from plenty of other sources. They have independently subpoenaed Michael Flynn, so there will be some concurrent fact-finding that's being done. It's just in pursuit of different ends.
Senator Chris Murphy, thank you very much.
Thanks, Katie.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.